Cardano. So, been some big developments in Cardano very, very recently, like the last 24 hours. Some big news coming out of it that we're going to dive into. We're going to have a look and see what the hell is happening with Cardano, how's developments going, and then from there, take a look at what it can hit this year. Now, before I get into it, if you're new here, this spreadsheet shows the first 26 coins that I did videos about on the channel. In the videos, I showed myself buying up all of these cryptos. These were all coins that I thought could do very, very well, make a lot of cash, which is obviously why I bought them up in the videos. And you can see what they were worth when I recorded and released them. These are the highs these coins hit in the last bull cycle, and these are what your profits would have been if you'd have popped $100 into them. 100 into each in the last bull cycle would have netted you a profit of over 123 grand. Now, from a $2,600 investment, that's pretty damn good. Now, the thing is we're in a bull cycle right now, and if you've got cryptos you're sitting on that you're not happy with, you have to get that sorted. If you don't know where to start, have a read through copymycrypto.com. So this is the website that I run where I share the coins that I own with my members. Whenever I find a crypto that I think is going to do really, really well, like many of these, I jump onto my site, I tell my members the crypto that I'm going to be buying, the reasons that I'm going to be buying it, and the price that I'm going to be buying it at. My members can copy along, they get in and out of crypto the same price as me, so they make the same profit. And if you go onto the site, you can actually see some of the profits my members have made. This is public records, all on the history of this channel, and these are from past successes, some of which you can see on the site. You know, one of them was a quick flip meme coin the members got in and out of in a fortnight and did over 300x. Or even just Phantom. Phantom in the last bull cycle, it's now known as Sonic, was one of the biggest gainers. It went up nearly 700 times from when my members got in. Some of them became millionaires off of those investments. Again, it's public record, so you can verify it. And if after reading through the site you like what you see and you want to find out the cryptos that are going to be the winners in this bull cycle, the ones that can make the big money, all you've got to do to find out about those cryptos is join up on the site. Now, Cardano. So, I've been speaking about Cardano for years. I think Cardano is a really interesting project, partly because it's frustrating, but partly because I really do like Charles Hoskinson and the way that he goes about things. It's a proof-of-stake blockchain, and its goal is to allow change makers, innovators, and visionaries to bring about positive global change. My personal perspective, I think that's a rubbish tagline, but I get the goal is to give people the platform to do something, which is what they do. This is a layer 1 blockchain. They've went through a litany of developments. In particular, in 2021, the Alonzo hard fork happened. That caused a huge price surge, which was around 116% across a month. And in September, the hard fork happened. This brought smart contracts to the blockchain. Within 24 hours, there were over 100 smart contracts. We started seeing huge surges in development. Cardano is also used by agriculture companies to track fresh produce from field to fork, while other products built on the platform allow educational credentials to be stored in a tamper-proof way, so it allows the clampdown on counterfeit goods. Now, Cardano legitimately is a very strong project in terms of being a layer 1. It's almost a legacy one at this point. It probably is arguably a legacy one. It's been around since 2017. Charles Hoskinson, obviously one of the founders of Ethereum, and those credentials alone are good enough to understand why Cardano's doing well and having success. Cardano, when I said with regards to Cardano being frustrating, there is absolute truth to that as well. It's really worth noting why that was the case. So Cardano, Ethereum has always launched fast. Ethereum has allowed surges in development. The approach from the Ethereum team for many, many, many years was try it. If it doesn't work, fix it after it doesn't work. So we had something in where CryptoKitties launched and just caused this dreadful nightmare with regards to Ethereum. The network was congested for days and days and days. You couldn't move money unless you were willing to pay an extortionate fee and front run the transaction, like the transaction record with your gas, by paying huge gas fees. I remember literally looking at trying to move. I think it was a few $100. I don't think it was even much. It was just for the purposes of moving it somewhere else to do a buy. And the estimated time is about 3 days, but if I was willing to pay $500, it could move. So we had the gas wars became a real thing then, and a lot of people complained. And I get that, because it was frustrating, but that's why coins like Nano, coins like Neo, coins like Dash started flying up, because it was really easy to just swap those on a centralized exchange and move some cash around. Now, Cardano have the complete opposite approach. They are academics at their core. They don't launch anything until they are 100% certain it will work. They don't allow anything to move forward until they are 100% sure that there won't be a problem. Now, there's pros and cons to this. One of the pros is, of course, the network doesn't tend to have any issues ever. The big con is that it feels so sluggish sometimes. Cardano for years felt really sluggish. Like, when is something going to happen? When is something going to happen? That was quite a common feeling for a lot of Cardano holders. Now, since the Alonso hard fork, development has been far, far better for Cardano. There's tons that are constantly happening here. Now, it is worth noting again, I still feel like Cardano should have more happening. Transaction-wise, it's not actually good. Let's be crystal clear on that. So, assets, by the way, so 21.9 billion are staked of the 38 billion. That's actually pretty good in terms of like nearly 60% of the total supply of the circulating supply is staked. So yeah, so that's actually pretty good. Now, but the usage is not there. Like, let's put it into context, man. 45,000 transactions per day. This isn't actually like heavily used as much as we would expect, but it is regarded as a very strong project, and it should be. Been around for long enough. The team do everything well, and it's regarded well by institutions. It's regarded well by Trump to some degree, because Charles Hoskinson's part of the policy-making team when Trump wanted a crypto policy-making team. And maybe that's Charles Hoskinson himself. He's got a good way about it, so maybe it's that. But as I said, institutions regard this really well. Grayscale have registered Cardano and Hedera trust entities in Delaware, so ETF filings could follow. So again, that's another. So part of the reason that I think we have seen in the last 24 hours Cardano rising 10% or so is people get excited. An ETF's coming. You know that there's a certain amount of money that can and will inevitably flow into an ETF. So Grayscale have proposed a spot Cardano ETF. Which again, if that does come to fruition, which I expect sooner or later it will, would really start seeing surges in investment. The US market for crypto ETFs has been getting hotter and hotter and hotter. Ethereum's ETF recently had daily volume records, over $1 billion flowing in. And that's not a surprise as well, of course. Ethereum's been rising quite nicely over the past sort of week. And Cardano probably will get an ETF. That's the reality. I don't know, when we look at it in terms of time, that's always an issue. There are a number of ETF filings. In October, we're going to see decisions made with regards to XRP, with regards to Solana, Litecoin, and I believe Doge, off the top of my head. Doge is the one where I'm like, it may not get it, but the others I think will. But Doge definitely could. It's just part of the reason I'm saying may not get it. There's been some fractious. There's a fractious relationship between Trump and Elon at the moment. Maybe that could have an impact. I know he's not a Doge developer, but he has an impact, you know. So, anyway, with all that in mind, if we see the jungle drums being that there's a very high likelihood we're going to see Cardano get an ETF, money will surge into this and to the exchanges. Its all-time high was $3. I think it's going to beat that this year. I think there's very, very, very real chance Cardano gets to $5, depending on what comes after the ETF. Could it do more? I mean, the reality is Cardano is technically could run a CBDC because they are globally compliant. I don't think they would because their throughput is not good enough. There needs to be a certain level of transactions per second to run a CBDC. You've got to be able to process thousands of transactions all the time. Like, you know, you're talking, a CBDC is the infrastructure for a country. That's the reality. So can Cardano facilitate that? I simply don't think it can. Not unless there's real significant development that really widens their throughput. And maybe that's through a system of parallel processing. If they can set up parallel processing, that could work. But even then, I'm not sure that functions with the current setup of Cardano and how it's been built. But it's a blue chip crypto. It's a blue chip crypto. And while I think the usage is weak, development's been good, the fact that institutions like Grayscale are interested is the start of something. That's always the case. I'm sure down the line, it won't be long before we see other major investment groups talking about Cardano ETF again. And it doesn't take much for a snowball effect to get excitement, to get speculation. Speculation, make no mistake about it, is one of the leading market movers in crypto. So I do think certainly $5 real shot. It's possible it could do 10. I just think it's unlikely. So yeah, I think $5. I think firstly get to your previous all-time high of $3 or so. And then from there, can it hit 5? But yeah, I think it can. What do you guys think? How high do you think Cardano can go? Do you think there's any crypto that's filed for an ETF that isn't going to get it? I'm curious about that because obviously we've got a new SEC compared to the Gary Gensler days. Do you think there's one that's just like, don't think it's going to get it? If so, tell me why in the comments. I'd be very interested in that. And yeah, guys, we're in a bull cycle. We're sitting on cryptos. And if your cryptos that you're sitting on, you're not confident in, you're not happy with, that aren't making you money, you've got to get that sorted. If you don't know where to start, you've got to get onto copymycrypto.com, have a read through this site. If you go onto my site, you'll see some of the profits that my members have made. You can see some of the successes that led to those profits, not least of which obviously Phantom. Phantom is now known as Sonic, but in the last bull cycle, my members got in at 0.5%. It went up to nearly 700 times in price. Some of my members became millionaires off of that one investment alone. Copy My Crypto is where I share the coins I own with my members. Whenever I find any coin that I think is going to do really, really well, I jump onto my site, I tell my members the crypto that I'm going to be buying, the reasons I'm buying it, the price I'm going to be buying it at. There's no work for my members. They get in and out of crypto the same price, so they make the same profit. They read through the site, watch the videos, verify it all, and if you want to find out the cryptos that are going to be the winners in this bull cycle, all you have to do to find out, guys, is join up on the site. If you do, I'll see you there. Otherwise, folks, I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.